Hi friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Daysi DIY. Today I'm gonna share with you guys an easy and beautiful winter DIYs. I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Let's start with the first project. I'm gonna be using one sign that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna remove just the hanger, and I decided to remove the image. But like I always mention, you guys can use the back of the sign to do this project, and you guys can just cover the image. But you guys know me that I love to remove the image so they can have a really good finish on the back. And to paint it, I'm using this beautiful Rust-Oleum chalk paint on color white. I always love to use this color, and you guys see me all the time using this color, and maybe you guys are like, oh my god, Daisy, again the color, you don't have any more colors to show. And I just did one coat and I just let it dry, and I'm just using this beautiful piece of decor that I got from Dollar Tree, and I just removed the hanger, and where it has the holes I just use a little bit of the spackling just to cover the holes, and I'm just using the same paint to paint it, and I just did one coat and I just let it dry. I want to show you this part. When I'm done painting my signs on the edges, I just grab a little bit of the paint with my finger and I just go over all the edges. I think it's more easy for me to do it. I have small brushes, but I just love to do this, and I just want to leave the part for you guys if you guys want to try this easy step. If you guys use wet paper towel, you guys can just remove the paint and it will give this distressed look on the sign, and it turned out really beautiful. It was the first time that I did this technique and it worked amazing. So if you guys want to do this instead of sanding, it works amazing with a paper towel. And my sign, it was kind of dry, not all the way, so it was more easy to remove the paint. And to distress it a little bit more, I'm using the Waverly anti-wax, and I just went over, and you guys can see my daughter, she always loved to show you guys like what she's doing. And to distress it a little bit more on the top, I went over with a piece of sandpaper just to remove a little bit of the paint, and it turned out really amazing once you do this. I'm going to be creating lines on the top of the sign, and I just create a few lines and I just mark my lines twice so they can be a little bit dark. Once I'm done creating all my lines, I just went over with my finger just to distress it a little bit more. And I'm going to be using this beautiful free printable that I found on Pinterest, and I will link it down in my description box below the link. She had this wonderful talented friend, so many beautiful free printables, so I will link it down for you guys. This time I did save the link. So what I did on the back of the image, I just grabbed my pencil so we can trace it, and once we're done, I just grabbed two pieces of the painter's tape to hold the paper, and with my pen I just went all over so we can mark the letters. And to paint the letters, I just using the DIYS chalkboard paint on color ink. I only did one coat, and let me tell you something, it doesn't need to be perfect, the lines. My letters, it was not that perfect, but it didn't matter so much because once it's completely dry, I went over with a piece of sandpaper just to distress it so it can blend with the sign, and it turned out really beautiful. And I'm just using the same Waverly anti-wax just to distress it a little bit more so it can blend all together with the other part of that sign that we're going to put it in the top, and I will show you in a minute. And to hang this beautiful sign, I'm using the same hanger, and to secure the hanger I'm using hot glue, but I'm just thinking right now I think it will look really beautiful with a piece of that plant hanger. And once I'm done, I'm going to be putting the other part of the sign, and for that I did a combination of wood glue and hot glue, and I just place it. And on the back I also, to reinforce it a little bit more, I just use a little bit more of the hot glue. I'm gonna be using these beautiful Christmas pigs that I got at Walmart, and I'm just gonna cut a few pieces and I'm gonna place it on the middle, and it turned out really beautiful, but it was missing something else. So for that I just grabbed these white berries and I just placed a few pieces on the top, and this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really gorgeous. I love it. It's my favorite. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? For the next project, I'm going to be using this beautiful wood piece that I got from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to be using another beautiful pre-printable. And it comes with the same pre-printable that I showed you in the beginning. I just place my piece of wood on the top and I just use my pen to trace it. And I'm going to be using my scissors just to cut it. And once I'm done, I'm going to be doing on the back one cut on Mod Podge, and I just did another cut on Mod Podge on the top. The next thing, we're using a piece of wood that I had on hand. If you guys don't have it, don't worry about it. You guys can grab 2 pieces of the Jenga blocks, use a little bit of hot glue to glue the 2 pieces, and paint it with the same color or the color of your preference. And I want to show you this part. My image, it was a little bit bigger on the edges. To fix that, I just bend it a little bit and it worked amazing. If you guys want, you guys can use your scissor to cut it. I decided just to paint the edges with the same color so it can blend with the base that we're gonna put it on the bottom. And to glue the base, I'm just using hot glue, but if you guys want a strong hold, I would recommend you guys to use wood glue. So once I glued the base, I didn't like it how it has this gap between the base and the piece of wood tree. So to fix that, I just grabbed this jute twine and I just wrap it around a few times, and I just use hot glue to secure the remaining piece on the back, and I just create this beautiful raffia bow. It was just simple how I created, and I just place it on the middle. It was the touch that it need. It turned out really adorable. I love it. But please let me know, what do you guys think? For the next project, I'm going to be using a few pieces of the cardboard, and I just cut it on the shape of the tree. I just bend the piece of cardboard just a little bit to give more texture to the pieces, so once we paint it, it gives this effect that it's wood. I love the effect that it gives once you paint it. And I'm gonna do this beautiful technique that I love. I'm gonna be using that candle just to go all on the piece of cardboard. In the other videos that I show you this wonderful technique, I fall in love because once you paint it, it gives this wonderful effect, and you guys can just use a piece of tape to remove a little bit of the paint. But I didn't do it this time because just with all the bending on the cardboard we did, it turned out really amazing. And once we placed the wax of the candle, it was beautiful once I was painting it. And also I paint on the back of the piece of cardboard because once we place all the pieces together on the back, it's going to show that it's just a plain cardboard that we use. So I would recommend it to paint it on the back. I'm using this beautiful base that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just using the same paint to paint it. First I did one coat and I just let it dry, and once it was dry I went over with another coat so we can cover it all the way. And to distress it a little bit more, I just went over with the Waverly anti-wax so we can keep this effect. It's wood, and I went a little bit heavy with the anti-wax, so I just grabbed a piece of sandpaper and I just removed a little bit of the paint, and it worked amazing. We're gonna be using these wood letters that I got from Dollar Tree, and to paint it I'm using the Waverly anti-wax. I just did one coat and I just let it dry, and once they were completely dry I went over with the Waverly paint on color moss just to give a little bit of color on the letters. To me it was just plain the color, I didn't like it, and I'm thinking right now too, I think it will look really beautiful on color black. I decided to distress the pieces with the same Waverly anti-wax so it can blend all together with the base and the letters. And I'm just using this Jute twine to give this more finish on the edges, so that's the reason why I decided to cover it. And I just went all around until I covered the whole piece, and I did the same step with all the other 4 pieces. So here comes the fun part, to place all the pieces together, and for that I'm just using a few pieces of the jingle blocks so we can give this support on the back, and also just to give this effect that it's like 3D. I hope you guys can see. I just trying to put just the big piece, and once I placed that big piece I went like the middle pieces, the small ones, and once I placed them I'm like it turned out really beautiful. And once I was done I want to put this beautiful garland all around. I should done that before I placed all my pieces because it was a little bit hard to put it, so I just want to mention that if you guys want to put the beautiful garland all around, make sure to do it before you place all the pieces in the base. And I just want to say too, like the piece of jingle blocks, I wish I paint those on color white so it can blend all together. I'm going to be placing the wood letters on the front part of the base, and I'm just using hot glue to glue it. You guys can use wood glue for a strong hold. And this is how it turned out, this beautiful piece. I love it. It gives this effect that it's like wood, the pieces of cardboard. If you guys love this brown color of the garland, you guys can leave it. But I was thinking too, I think it will look really beautiful to paint it on color white, just to give that effect that it has a snow. I think it will look really beautiful too. Let me know what you guys think. Should I paint it?
For the next project, we're going to be using
This sign that I got at Dollar Tree, and the first thing I'm gonna remove the image, and I just want to show you how easy it was to remove the image for this sign. Sometimes they're a little bit harder to remove the image, but don't worry. If you guys don't want to remove your image, you guys can use the back of the sign to recreate this project. And to paint it, we're using this Rust-Oleum paint on color white. I got this paint at Amazon, or you guys can get it at Walmart, or you guys can use any paint. So you guys can see, I didn't want to cover the sign all the way because we're gonna be painting the edges of the sign, and for that I just use the painter's tape to cover the part that we paint. And to paint the sides, I'm just using craft white chalkboard paint on color ink. This paint I got it at Dollar Tree, and also with the same paint I just put a little bit on that side so we can cover it. And for me it's more easy just to use my finger. You guys can use like a small brush to paint it. And once it's completely dry, I just remove the pieces of the painter's tape. And you guys see in this part where I remove the pieces of the painter tape, it kind of come out the paint, but it was just really simple fix. I just went over with a little bit of the same paint, and it was really simple fix. And also I decided to create this chiplet look that I love to create, and I just create 4 lines. And once I create the lines, I went over with my pencil, and I always mention that I always trace my lines 2 or 3 times so they can be darker. So once you distress it, it's way easy. And I just want to show you with the finger, it's easy to distress it, but I love this way better, this technique, to use a wet paper towel, and it's really simple to distress it. I'm gonna be using this painter stick that I got from Amazon, and I just cut 2 pieces of the side of the sign, and I just use a piece of sandpaper just to sand the edges. And to paint it, I'm gonna be using this Waverly paint that I got at Walmart, and I just use a piece of this bud sponge so we can paint it. I love to use these pieces of the bud sponge because you don't use that much paint, or if you guys want to, you guys can use a brush. And once they're completely dry, I decide to use again the piece of sandpaper just to distress the pieces a little bit so it can show the wood under that I had. It's really beautiful once we distress it. And also with the same piece of the bud sponge, I just went over on the side and distress it just in a few parts, especially on the part that we didn't paint, so it can give this high-end look to the wood sign. And I also decide with a piece of sandpaper just to remove a little bit of the paint on the edges, and I just love it once I did this step. So here comes the fun part. We're gonna glue the 2 pieces of the painter sticks on the top, and for that I'm using a combination of wood glue and hot glue for a strong hold. If you guys not in the rush, you guys can just use wood glue for permanent hold. I'm gonna be using this beautiful snowman that I got last year here, and I'm pretty sure you guys see this beautiful snowman. So I'm gonna remove just the hanger that hold the 3 pieces of the body of the snowman, because it was a little bit bigger for my sign, and I was thinking, I'm like, okay, I just want to remove those pieces so we can make it a little bit smaller so it can fit in our sign. The reason why I decided to use a little bit of the glue so it can hold it on place and to secure the pieces way better on the back, I just grabbed a piece of that jute twine and I just tie it really well on the back, and with the remaining piece I just cut it, and to make sure that it holds really well the pieces on the back, I just use a little bit of the hot glue, and once we're done we're just gonna glue the beautiful snowman on the top, and I just use a little bit of the hot glue. But right now I'm thinking, because it has a hanger on the top, you guys can just use like a thumbnail to just put it on the top and just paint it on color black, or you guys can put like a small hanger and you guys can just use that sign for other things, or if you guys want to, you guys can just use X6000 for permanent hold too. The next thing, I'm gonna be using this farmhouse ribbon that I got at Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna show you how easy and simple I create my bows. And I just create 2 bows so I can place it on the middle of the snowman, and I just use a little bit of the glue to glue it. Also, I decided to remove this little part of that greenery that I had on the hat. I didn't like it very well, so I'm like, let me grab another few pieces of the greenery and just to place it on the side. And also, if you guys want to, you guys can place like any color of berries that you guys want to. I think like color red, it will look really beautiful. I decided to use just the white ones, and I want to show you, if you guys want to, you guys can place like buttons on the top of the bows that we create. I just want to give you a few examples. You guys can decide if you guys want to place any buttons. I think it looks adorable. And also on the top of the painter sticks, I also decide to use a little bit of the Bristolian paint to distress it a little bit, and also on the edges. And that was the only thing that I did. And I didn't remove the hanger of the sign. I just leave the same hanger, and this is how it looks, our first project. Please let me know what do you think about this adorable snowman. For our next DIY, I just removed this wreath from a ranger that I had like the 2 pieces together, and I just used it for other project, and I had it on hand, and I was not pretty sure what to do with this wreath. We're gonna call it like that. I'm not sure how to call it, you know. I decided to use the Rust-Oleum paint to paint it. I did 2 coats so we can cover really well the glitter. First I was thinking like just to remove the glitter with a piece of sandpaper, but it was kind of hard, you know. The other thing that we're going to be using, this chalkboard that I got at Dollar Tree. It's really beautiful. I just love everything, but I decided to dark a little bit the piece of wood I had on the top, and for that I just used a little bit of the Waverly anti-wax. And also I just grabbed this greenery that I got from a Dollar Tree, and I just grabbed 1 piece, and I really love it because it gives this kind of look that it's snow. I just really love it. So I just got a few pieces and I just used a little bit of the hot glue to glue it. You guys can use like red berries. I think it will look really beautiful, but I was going with something white. I decided to grab a piece of sandpaper just to remove a little bit of the anti-wax so it can show the wood under a little bit more, and I just glued that wreath on on the top with a little bit of the hot glue, but I think it's way better to use X6000 for permanent hold. I grabbed this Bliss wood letter that I got from Dollar Tree, and it comes a few letters in a pack, and I just place it on the middle. And I think you guys can paint the letters as you preference, red, green. It will look beautiful, you know. I went just with the same anti-wax, and I distressed the reef just on a few parts a little bit. And I used a piece of this jute twine so we can hang this adorable sign. And I just want to show you how I placed the jute twine. And with the remaining piece, I just used my scissors to cut it. And I just glued that piece of jute twine on the back to make sure it holds really well the piece of jute twine. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really adorable. I just love it. And I just want to show you, I should paint the letters with this Waverly chalk paint on color moss. I think it will look way better than letters. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this other project? For the next project, I'm gonna be using another wood sign that I got at my Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna remove the hanger and also all the embellishment that I had on the top. The eyes of the bunny, make sure that you don't throw those pieces away because you guys can reuse it, and also these little feet. And for this sign, it was really easy to remove that image too. You guys can see how easy it was. And the paint that I'm using is this Rust-Oleum chalk paint on color white. I just love to do this technique that I use a little bit of the paint, but you guys can use any technique that you guys love to, or you guys can cover the sign all the way. So I just did one coat and I just put it to a side and let it dry completely. I'm gonna create just a few lines on the top, and once I mark my lines twice, I just went over with a piece of paper towel and I just went over and I distressed the lines with the color pencils. You guys can create this chipla look too, and they look really beautiful, the lines. And once we're done, I went over with the Waverly anti-wax just to distress it a little bit more, because for my eyes, they were not happy how it turned out the sign. I'm going to be using this wall sticker that I got at my Dollar Tree. It's really beautiful. I just love it, and I'm like, it will look amazing to create a project so I can display this beautiful wall sign in my house. I just placed first the words, but I didn't place it all the way because first I just make sure I just centered the sticker on the sign, and once I was okay, I just went with my hand and stick really well the sticker. And also I decided to do one cut on my Podge on the top to seal really well the stickers so they can have a permanent hold, because I create one sign and I didn't do this step and the sticker fell down. So that's the reason why I decided to do one cut on my Podge and I just let it dry completely. I'm gonna be using two pieces of the painter sticks, and I just cut it to the side of the wood sign, and also I cut the handle, and I just kind of eyeball it. You know, you guys can just measure if you guys want to. And once I cut it, I just grab a piece of sandpaper just to sand it really well, the edges of the painter sticks. And to paint it, I'm gonna be using this Waverly anti-wax, and I just wet my sponge a little bit because I didn't want my pieces to be really dark. And once they're completely dry, I grab a piece of sandpaper just to remove a little bit of the anti-wax so we can see the wood it's under. I'm gonna do a combination of wood glue and hot glue to glue the two pieces of that painter stick, and I just placed one on each side, and I just want to show you the way that I glue the pieces. I left this gap between the sign and the painter stick so we can glue the handle, and also at the same time it can have that support, to glue the handle. And to reinforce it a little bit better, I just put more hot glue on the back. You guys can grab this piece of that nautical rope and just grab two pieces and create it as a hanger. I think it will look beautiful, but I decided to grab this wire that I got from Dollar Tree, and I just create a simple hangers and I just glue it on the back. But I think it's way better to use E6000 for permanent hold. I grabbed this greenery that I got at Walmart, and I just grabbed a few pieces and I just place it on one side. And you guys can place these red berries. I think it will look really beautiful. I decided to use these white berries, and I just grabbed a few pieces and I just place it on the top of the greenery. And that's the only thing that I did for this sign. It turned out really beautiful. I just love it. For the next project, I'm going to be using this small sign that I had like few years and I never use it, but today is our lucky day to use it. So what I did, I removed the part of the image and also the heart, and I'm using another beautiful free printable. I found this beautiful free printable on Google, so I just mark it to the side of the sign, and I'm gonna be cutting the extra paper on the side. And once we're done, I'm gonna do first one coat of Mod Podge on the back of the image and one coat on the top of the sign, and I'm gonna place my image. Like I mentioned before, I love to do this technique because it won't have that many wrinkles once we do this technique. And also I did another coat on Mod Podge on the top so we can seal that image, and I let it dry completely. The next thing, we're using two painter sticks that I got from Amazon, and I cut it to the side of the sign. I'm gonna be using the two of the handles, and I just did a hole in the middle so we can hang this beautiful cutting board that we're gonna create. And I'm just using a piece of sandpaper just to sand the edges of the painter sticks. And to paint it, I'm using the Waverly anti-wax. I did one coat and I just let it dry. And with the same paint, I decided to distress it a little bit on the edges, and it turned out really beautiful once you distress it. I love it how it turns out. And like I said, you guys can distress your pieces the way that you guys want. I always love to do a little bit of the paint, and once I'm done, I go a little bit heavy. And you guys know if I go a little bit heavy, I go over with a piece of sandpaper and remove a little bit of the paint. That's how I distress my pieces all the time. And to put the two pieces of the painter sticks, I'm just using wood glue and hot glue to glue them, and I just place the piece on the top and the other piece on the bottom, and I just glued the two pieces of the handles. I did the same step, and I just glued them together, and I just glued the handle on the back of the sign, and I just placed it on the middle to reinforce it a little bit more. I just went over on the back with a little bit of hot glue, and I'm gonna be using using one piece of this jute cord. It was missing something on the top of the handle, so I just cut a piece and I just glue it. If you guys want to leave it the way it is, I think it looks beautiful, but I decided to use two small jingle bells and I just use the Waverly antique wax just to distress it a little bit more so it can blend more with the beautiful cutting board. And I just grabbed two pieces of the jute twine and I just put them on the top of the jingle bell. So if you guys want to place it in the middle, or if you guys want to place it on the bottom of the jute cord, I think it will look beautiful too. But I decided to place them here in the middle and I just glue them, and this is how it looks. I love it. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this last project? So that was it for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified every time that I upload a new video. And please don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so much and have an amazing day.